Welcome to the Desire to Dream podcast. I'm your host, Lo Wilder. The vision of this podcast is to provide tools on how to become successful in your finances, business, leadership development, and much more. A little bit about me: I grew up in the hood, homeless at the age of 14. I made a choice not to become a product of my environment. And today, I am a successful businessman, community leader, and inspirational speaker. It is my desire to encourage and empower you to unlock your greatness. So tune in and enjoy the show. Welcome back to another episode of the Desire to Dream podcast. I'm your host, Lo Wilder. And today I got a special guest, friend of mine, someone I connected with on Breathe University. My man is doing phenomenal things, man. He's out there in the community. But without further ado, just want to introduce everybody to my homie, Jeris. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, Lo? How you doing today?
Man, all is well, man. Can't really complain. But man, it's an honor to have you here, man. I know we're excited to dive in and kind of talk about some of the things, some real life, tangible tips and advice to help people turn their dream into a reality. Without further ado, go into a little bit of your background, let the people know who you are, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. No problem. Yeah, so I'm Jeris. My last name is Bowlding. I'm from the Washington, D.C. area, but the town I live in is called Bowie, Maryland, and I've been here for about 30 years. I'm a father of 3 amazing cubs. That's what I call my boys. And I'm married to my beautiful wife, Megan. And man, I'm just here on this earth to serve. That's what God has put me to do, is to serve. And from a full-time perspective, I work for the federal government, serving the employees for my agency. I work in payroll. And then outside of that, I'm currently partnered with a golf organization, a junior golf organization called Excel Golf. And we're just doing some great things in the community to grow the game of golf for the youth of this area and trying to diversify the game as well.
Man.
But I do a lot of other things. I love working out. I love Disney, of course.
Nice.
And I just love just connecting with people similar to you and just helping people win the day in every way. That's kind of a phrase that I kind of live by.
Man, that's awesome. So federal government, man, I mean, that's, that's a wonderful career. Obviously, is this something, a desire of yours going in, or, something that you saw as an opportunity, and got into it? Because I know you've been in it quite some time now. So
I think our parents always want the best for us. So that's what my dad did. He worked for the federal government before, and he retired. And before he retired, he always said he wanted his sons to get an opportunity to work for the government. So he would always put us in positions so that we can get jobs. So I started out as an intern, just wanted to make some money. He wanted to keep me busy. He didn't want me. I knew at that point in high school I wasn't going to play football anymore. So he was like, hey, why don't you just come to the federal government and get a job and just kind of start there and see where it goes. So I wasn't going to turn down an opportunity.
right.
So I just started working there. And 20 years later, I've went from a GS1, which is kind of like the most entry level you can get, to a GS14, which is right there to the top outside of management. So
Man,
I put my time in.
right.
I like my job. I don't love it. It's not what I feel like I'm passionate and to do. But as I
Right.
mentioned before, I love to help people, and the position that I'm in allows me to do that, which is great.
Man, that's powerful, man. I mean, you talking, over decades. And I think one of the things, I got 10 years in my organization. And one of the things I learned, like probably midway through it, was the struggle of being consistent, being loyal, right? It's an issue with our culture. Like, did you have any challenges like throughout the process and said, man, I don't know if I want to continue to do this? Like you said, it isn't something that's like a burning desire. It's a career. It's obviously, I'm sure it's lucrative. Like, they take care of the bills and stuff. But
Sure.
what was it like, some of the challenges, if you had any, where you like, man, I don't fit in, or this might not be what I want to do? And how did you overcome that thought?
Man, that's a great question. Yeah, there were moments where I wanted to kind of quit per se, just because sometimes with government work, and just being completely honest, is like you're surrounded by a lot of people who don't want to do a lot. They just want to give like the minimum
Right.
effort. And I was in that mindset for a little bit. And I realized, I was like, man, God has blessed me with so many different gifts, like my physical abilities. I wanted to use my entire body for my career. So I was thinking about becoming a police officer. I was thinking about joining the FBI. but I just felt like God was just like, no, just stay here. And I just stayed consistent. In the process of trying to get these other careers, possibly the EPA offered me just more opportunities for growth, like getting promotions and things like that, and
Right.
the opportunities to go to different organizations to kind of to work within the IT space that I got my degree in.
Hmm.
So I just decided to stick with it, and I just never turned down an opportunity. If there was a door or a window that was open, I would always
Right.
kind of just walk through it and see what would happen. And I would always wait for God to close it. And if He didn't, I just kept walking through it. So,
Man, what a blessing, man. What a blessing. And we were just on the call, recently talking
mhm,
about rewards. And so when you're putting in the work, you're grinding, you're hustling, God is going to reward you. I think of Joseph, man, who was in the pits, man. He was slaving
yep,
away, right? He
yep, yep,
was working. And I think a lot of people, man, even those that are listening right now, you're probably in that state of mind where you're like, I've been grinding like Jairus low. I've been grinding. I've been putting in work and I
hmm
don't see the reward, right?
hmm
And one of the things I tell people all the time is just keep on keeping on, just keep on
yep,
pushing, keep on
yep.
grinding. Like I kind of want to talk about a little bit. You didn't mention it, man, but the
hmm
HBCU. I'm a
Yes,
I'm
sir.
a HBCU, Hampton University. Shout outs to Hampton, but you went to Bowie State, right?
Yep. Bowie State, BSU.
Man, that's awesome, man. And I try to explain even when I'm speaking to the youth and all the kids, and I'm like,
hmm
listen, like college is great, and if you
hmm
plan on going to college, and you're out, obviously, and it doesn't matter what whether you're white, whether you're Latino,
hmm
a historically black college, the experience that you gain from it, the network of the
For sure.
individuals that go to these universities. Because for me, I know I've talked to you about this. I was homeless at 14. I
hmm
wasn't exposed to seeing African Americans, people of color in a successful place. Like if you was driving a Benz in my city, you were a
hmm
you were a D boy, right? If
Gotcha.
you was
Gotcha.
driving in a Range Rover, you were a D boy. When I
hmm
went to Hampton, it was like kids were driving in my dream car at 18, 19 years old. And I'm like,
Yep.
wait, hold up. So
Yep.
that exposure, man, it's a beautiful thing. Talk about, how awesome that experience was and how you were able to connect and network with individuals that look like you, but also
hmm
those that may not, but the experience alone and the network.
No, man, that's a great question because it's like Bowie State wasn't my first choice.
Hmm.
Um, I personally I wanted to go to a school in Florida, and things didn't go the way that I wanted to. But my dad, he went to Bowie State, and my mom went to Bowie State as well, so they had a lot of connections and was able to get me into the school. Um, and I've been around HBCUs my entire life with my parents, graduated from that school, so
Mm,
um, the opportunity was great because in the area that I live in, it's very diverse, So I didn't necessarily spend a lot of time with my people,
right,
but once I kind of got around that environment, it was great because I was able to connect with people that I typically probably wouldn't have never connected with,
right.
and realize there were people very similar to me, very similar backgrounds. So it made the college experience even that much more important to me. I mean, some of my really close friends are either partnering with me with some of the Excel golf stuff, or helping me grow the brand
Hmm.
in ways that if I didn't go to Bowie State or if I didn't make those connections, it would have never happened. I was able to get exposure to like student government stuff. I was involved in student government during my junior year of school, and I was the male representation of the junior class, which was crazy in itself because a friend of mine was just like, Jeris, you should do it. I think you have the qualities to do it. And at that time, I really didn't believe I could. And then I went ahead and applied for the position and got it. And I was able to host courses and classes for the junior class, and was able to kind of put myself in a position um, where if I didn't take that step, I probably wouldn't be the man I am today. So
Man,
um,
yeah, that's
HBCUs are incredible, and just to learn more about our culture and surround yourself in that environment. But I also told my friends who went to an HBCU, like, hey, this is great, but the world isn't this just bubble. Like we have to understand, like let's take this piece with us, but we need to carry it out in the world because
right.
it's not all going to look like us at all times. So we have to be able to adapt and be prepared for that as well.
Yeah, that's right, man. That's right. That's powerful, man. That's some good nuggets right there. You talked about it, just a little bit ago, with the youth, the program
Mhm.
that you're working with the golfing, and really just, we talked about this before. the exposure of bringing others of color, to this game of golf. And you brought it to my attention not that long ago, where you were like, hey, it's not just Tiger Woods in the golf arena as well.
Mhm.
But talk about where the passion came from, where you originally started to work with the youth.
Yeah, for sure. My passion for helping youth started back in church. So my brother was a youth pastor at the church that we used to attend, and
Hmm.
I was a youth leader with his organization, with his program, and I was helping mentor middle school to high school kids. And then the passion kind of like subsided a little bit because I wanted to get married and things like that. But
Right.
when I started to have my own children, I always played, not always play golf. My dad always played golf, and we're both left-handed, and that's how I started playing golf because my dad would just give me his old clubs. But once my son got involved in the program, I just saw a need, and I saw also the benefits of the program, and I just wanted to be able to give back in a way that I know I could by just serving, kind of finding the gaps that I could fill with the skill sets that I have.
Right.
And the two older gentlemen that run the program, they're great at what they do. But I knew that myself and one of the other parents, we just knew that we could offer so much more. And in the process of doing that, we are kind of on the board of the organization now. We're reaching out different golf courses. But the answer to the question that you asked was
Hmm.
the game of golf is it's so important because it's not just a physical game; it's a mental game. Um,
Mm.
and because you're not playing against anybody else, you're playing against the course. Like the
Right.
course is setting the pace for you. So you have to hit certain shots, or you have to figure out like how long do I need to hit it? Where do I need to hit it on the green? Like all these different things that have it puts your mind through a test. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it puts you through adversity because you can hit a ball in the trees, but you can still get it out of the trees and still score a par or get a bogey or get a decent score off of the mistakes that you made. So it's a lot of life lessons in golf that if you don't go out there and play, you're not going to be able to kind of like see the parallels.
Hmm.
Um, and we had a meeting last night. And we were talking about it, and I said, kids don't really face a lot of adversity in their lives at a young age, but the game of golf kind of puts them in those positions, and it forces them to have to think through a tough situation in order to get the outcome that they want. And
Right.
that's the cool thing about it because it's not necessarily a team sport. Like you have to be the one to make it happen. You can't rely on anybody else. It's just
Right.
you, the club, the ball, and
And
the
the
hole.
ball
So
and
you
the
just got to
whole.
figure out how to get there within the strokes that the hole has set for you.
Man, that's amazing, man. And let me ask you, like, when you're out there with the youth and
Hmm.
they're going through these adversity or these challenges on the course,
Hmm.
are you breaking it down like that, like in the midst, like in the middle of their shot, saying, "Hey, look, this is like life." Like, are you making it practical for them to say, "Hey, this is just like life, man. You're gonna
Hmm.
be, uh, you know, feeling adversity, and you have to decide and come up with decision on how to overcome this." Like, is there someone there that's kind of walking them through that?
Yeah. So right here, this is my son JT. He's the reason why I got involved in the
Hey,
program. And
JT, what's up, man?
say hello. And I try to. There was a tournament that he took place that he was involved in. It was the very last tournament of the year last year,
Hmm.
and there was one student who was doing a great job. I mean, he was getting pars and he was getting birdies, and
Mm.
he ended up facing a little bit of adversity. Like he was trying to hit the ball and he wasn't able to hit it the way he wanted to, and he started getting emotional. And I just walked up to him and was like, "Look, man, it's all right. Like all you need to do is focus on the next shot. Don't worry
Mm.
about what happened. Just focus on the next shot." And that's what he did. And he ended up not getting the score that he wanted. But after he finally put it in the hole, I told him, I was like, "All right, this hole's over.
Right.
This is one great thing about golf. You got another shot to get a better score. So let's go
Mm.
to the next hole. Don't worry about what happened this last hole. Erase it from your memory and focus on what you need to do now." And he was able to kind of get back on track. He was able to kind of get a good score, and I could just see how just a little bit of words, just the little tweaks that I gave him,
Right.
helped him overcome such a oh my gosh moment to now realize like, all right, it happened. What I'm going to do? How do I like shake myself from not allowing it to affect me and
Hmm.
move on to the next hole? So
Nice.
That was the moment when I knew, all right, I need to get involved because I know I have a lot of a lot of information inside of me that I know I can help the next generation realize, like, all right, whatever's happening to you right now is not going to be the end of the world. Like
Right.
you have to deal with it, accept what happened, and move on. And
Yeah.
that's what golf is teaching me. I mean, I played yesterday, and it was rough out there, but I told myself, all right, like this is just a learning experience for me to get better.
Right.
And I can just take the highs of it and say, okay, I can build upon that, and then learn from the lows of it.
Yeah.
And that's how golf works.
That's it, man. Fighting through it, and I think that's one of the greatest lessons for me. Having a football background, just learning those life lessons, saying, okay, all right, tomorrow's another day, right? You're off today. I think Vince Lombardi said that, hey, today you guys practice like crap, but guess
Mm-hmm.
what? Tomorrow you have another opportunity to to do better. And I
Yeah.
think, with what you're saying with golfing, man, it's very practical, man. People can
Mm-hmm.
see that and apply that to life and help
Mm-hmm.
them get to that next level, especially when they're youth, they're building that foundation. I do a lot of community outreach as well. We had a garden project with some young men that were in a detention center, and they would get frustrated, but I would break down life lessons with even with the planting of the seed. It's like a dream. It's like your idea, and you got to nourish it. You got to
Yeah.
cultivate it. You got to take the weeds out. The weeds are the negative people in your life,
Mm-hmm.
and making it practical. And then they started to enjoy it. And then not only that, they started seeing the beginning from when we tilled the ground. And in a few weeks, months, here we have this manifestation of fruit and vegetables. And so it was just amazing, man. And kudos to you and the program. That's just amazing, man. Continue to do great work there. And shout outs to little man. Hope he's learning and getting that skills, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to, pivot a little bit. I know you
Okay.
recently did a marathon, right?
Yeah.
So how challenging and you talking about mental toughness? I'm
Mhm.
sure they say the toughest mile point is from 18 to 23. Is that correct?
Mhm. Yeah, it is tough.
Mhm.
So I did do a marathon, but I didn't just do a marathon. I did it's called the Dopey Challenge, where you run a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, and a full marathon
Mm.
in 4 days. Um, and it was grueling. It was probably the hardest physical test that I've ever put on myself.
Mhm.
But that's kind of how I am. Like I need to continue to push myself to see, like, all right, can I do more? Like, am I reaching my full potential, and kind of putting those big obstacles in my way to see if I can knock them down. Um, but yeah, mile 18 to 23 on a marathon is a tough stretch. And that's kind of where I started to hit my wall. First 17, 18 miles was good. My pace was good. I was running with my cousin, and he was kind of saying, like, man, you need to slow down, your pace is too fast, you're going to burn yourself out. And I was like, all right, and you kind of said the magic words, they're going to push me to not want to quit, but yeah, I faced a little bit of adversity. My calf started to tighten up, and thankfully, the race and the course that we're running on, they have kind of first aid stations along the way. And I was able to take some Tylenol, stay hydrated, get some biofreeze, which is kind of
Mm.
like a gel that kind of loosens up your muscles, because
Right.
my calf was hitting. And I just told myself, all right, like this is going to make or break you. So what are you going to do? And I just went for it. Like my
Mm.
calf, the tightness went away, and I think I hit that runner's high, because I just pushed myself to a point where I wasn't going to quit. I wasn't going to lose. Where the first, I guess, 18 miles, my pace was around 13 minutes,
Mhm.
and the last 7, 8 miles, it was like an 11-minute mile. So I really
Wow.
turned it up and started pushing it, because I knew I had a personal goal that I wanted to achieve. I didn't achieve it, but if I didn't push myself harder, I definitely wouldn't have been close to the goal that I wanted, which was to finish in 5 hours and 30 minutes. I ended up finishing at 5:48. So now
Man.
I know I need to. Now I know I can do it next time and finish it faster.
Man, kudos to you, man. And I know for the people that are listening who may not know Jairus, but my man lost some significant amount of weight. It
Hmm.
wasn't this thing was a mountain that he had to climb. And so,
Yeah.
you know, he had a weight loss journey. So, you know, shout outs to you, man, because I know it wasn't easy. And it's
Hmm.
just like life, man. In life, we're all running a marathon, right?
Hmm.
There's some checkpoints, just like in the marathon where you have those
Yep.
first aid kits. And so I
Hmm.
think, you know, people have to learn when they need to take a breather and
Hmm.
say, oh, my calf is not, instead of, you know, trying to fight through it and then end up injuring themselves and then they can't finish the race.
Yep.
So, you know, man, that's powerful and a powerful lesson in itself.
Appreciate that.
Anything like when, you know, this podcast is for helping people achieve their goals, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So you set out a lot of goals and you've been a high achiever on many different levels. You know, for someone who may be listening, you know, right now, they struggling,
Hmm.
they're trying to fight through it because it's not easy, right? Being a
Yeah.
father or being a mother, trying to work your career, your job, but then also have these other goals on the side. What kind of advice would you give them so that they can, you know, fight through it or maybe implement it into their plan so they can turn that dream into a reality?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. I know for me, the biggest thing is first first you have to understand why you want it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, what's your why? What is what is driving you or pushing you to want to achieve this goal? And I always say, and from the things and the content that I consume, it has to be bigger than you, because there are going to be moments where you're not going to want to do it. Like if it's just about you, you might quit on yourself. But if you're doing
Hmm.
it for somebody else, if you're doing it for your family, you're doing it to impact the world. Um, that has to be one of the factors. Like it has to be bigger than you. And then just consistency, just getting up every single day with the mindset of, all right, I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do,
Hmm.
even if I'm tired, even if I don't feel good. Um, just do a little bit. You know what I mean? Just keep moving forward, keep pressing forward. And then on top of that, it's just committing to finishing, like just saying, you know what, I'm going to commit to this and keeping a word to yourself that at the end of the day, regardless of what happens, I'm going to do it. Um, and having a circle of people around you that's going to hold you accountable.
Right.
Thank goodness for the BU community. I've been able to partner and find some accountability partners like Lo and some other people in the group, and
Hmm.
they just keep me on task. You know, because there are going to be those moments, like I said, like you're not going to want to do it when you reach out to your team and say, "Man, I'm like, it's tough today." And
Right.
they'll put that battery in your back. Be like, remember why you're doing it. Remember why you're here. Remember all the
Hmm.
things you want to accomplish. And they're just going to push you to that finish line when you can't push yourself anymore. So
Yeah.
um, just find a circle of influence that's going to have your back through it all, and then also just trust and have faith. Like have faith that you can do it, and rely on the Lord, and He's going to test your faith,
Right.
and then in the process of testing your faith, it's going to help you get to where you need to be.
Man, that's beautiful, man. So there y'all have it. You know, some great nuggets. Before Jairus go, I know he's a big Disney guy, man.
Yeah.
He talked about several movies, and it's interesting because there's some life lessons even in the Disney movies. But you
Hmm.
know, I got a 1-year-old toddler, and so Jairus has been a good brother, you know, kind of sharing some good insight, right, on
Hmm.
fatherhood and things like that. But hey, top three Disney movies and why?
Ooh. All right. So I have to break it down in categories.
Okay.
So like classic movie, Peter Pan's like always that's like one of my favorites.
Fire.
I think
Yeah.
Captain Hook is hilarious. But just I'm a young at heart, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
I'm always going to be a lost boy. You know what I mean? I'm always going to be that kid that's always kind of stuck there. So I always say I'm like an 8-year-old in a 37-year-old body right now. Like um, so Peter Pan is definitely one for that. And it's just all about just staying in that childhood mode, and then always knowing that like you can overcome stuff even in your youth.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so that's the classic old school Disney. And current Disney, well, not current Disney. I would say Disney, like when I was a kid, it would be Lion King. Um,
Hmm.
and man, like me watching Lion King now as a father, um, it's different. Like that Mufasa scene it hits me a little harder now
Right.
because I'm a dad, you know,
Right. Right.
to the point where like my cubs, I have a tattoo of them on my chest and Lion King characters.
Yeah.
But just Lion King's all about adversity. You know what I mean? You face
Hmm.
adversity. I mean, Simba ran up into a problem where he 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 believed that he was the reason for his father's death, And
Mm.
he ran away from his problems, you know. And the movie just teaches you, like, you can try to run away from them as long as you want, but at some point you're going to have to face that problem. And once you face it, the thing that you want the most is on the other side of it.
On the other
And
side of it, right?
he was running from fear, and he had to face that fear head on. And it was in the shape of his uncle. And once he was able to conquer that fear, he ended up being the king of the Pride Land. So he ended up living up to the journey that he didn't want, and ended up making it happen. So
Yeah, Lion King's
that would be,
fire, man, for sure.
yeah, yeah. And then the last one, man, this is tough. It's between two right now. It's Moana, and it's also Encanto. And
Hmm.
those are like the two newest ones. And the reason why it's between those two is the music is the music in it is really good, but the message in the movies are really well. Like with Moana, we know that she's on a journey to save her family, and
Right.
in the process of doing that, her father doesn't want her to be exposed to certain things because he doesn't want anything that happened to her. But it's that journey that a person needs to go through in order for them to become who they need to be. They have to
Hmm.
face these different trials, have to face these different adversities in order to become the person. She thought Maui was going to be the guy that was going to save her tribe land, but it ended up being her.
Right.
And then with Encanto, just the family dynamics of the grandmother um, having these high expectations for Maribel, but unfortunately, she doesn't have a gift that is something that can be outwardly seen. Where all of her cousins, all of her aunts and uncles have these tremendous gifts, but her gift is being the glue that keeps the family together.
Right.
So just finding those messages in the movie that means more than just the music, means more than just the colors and the things that attract the kids to it. But from an adult, you can see like, oh, wow, these family dynamics are real. And
Right.
you can kind of see yourself in some of those situations. Like for myself, I feel like I'm the glue sometimes for my family, where people may have all these things going on, but I'm always going to bring them together and say, okay, we're always going to come back to us at the end of the day. So
Word.
I gave you four, so I'm
Nah,
sorry, but
that's good. Nah, listen, that's good, man. Hey, more
yeah,
is better, right?
yeah,
But nah, all fire movies, man. Appreciate you putting me on Encanto. My little man,
yeah,
he's watching it now, probably once a day, just because
yeah,
he's at that age where he ain't got that many selections. So
yeah,
we
yeah.
put something on that he's used to it. But my wife and I enjoyed it, man. But listen, man, shout outs to you, man. I truly appreciate you coming on, sharing some really good nuggets, man, with the people. And I wish you nothing but success, man. I pray that God just blesses you and your wife, and your three boys, yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
And just bless the family, man, and bless your finances, your career, all of that. Just really appreciate you, man. Final words before you go, and just so you know too, I'll make sure everyone will have in the description where they can find you on Facebook,
Okay.
Instagram, if you just want to connect with my brother Jairus.
Yeah, you got it, man. It's two things. I always said this is something that I said when I was going through my weight loss journey. I would say make a plan. No, I'm sorry. Set a goal, make a plan, and get to work. Like that's those kind of the action steps that you need to take. The goal is the goal, right? But
Hmm.
in order to accomplish the goal, you have to have a plan that works. And once
Right.
you put that plan in practice and put that plan in place, you attack it every single day to get the results that you want. And then lastly, the thing I always say is win the day. And that basically means whatever you set forth for, attack it to the point that you're going to win it. Don't just let the day happen to you. You need to happen to the day. Just like with any sports that we play, you're in it to win. So why
Mm.
not put the effort in to make sure you win?
Right.
Yeah,
Fire, man. Hey, Jeris, appreciate you, brother. And
you got to
man, we
love.
appreciate you, listeners, man. We'll be reaching out to y'all here shortly, man. But thanks a lot. God bless y'all.
All right, love.